Hi there. My name's Sayo, and I will be reading a short excerpt from my new novel, on shelves June 10th, Angelhunting. It's a mystery set in Toronto. Business hadn't so much slowed down as curled into a ball and died, and Seamus Caron was about $200 away from cracking a few safes himself. He'd seen plenty of blood and tears in his 15 years as a private eye, but he'd take either over boredom and a thin bankroll. Seamus sat at his desk, oilskin coat loose over his shoulders, trying to plan. It was his least favorite occupation. Far more enjoyable to be in the morgue puzzling over half an ear, or trolling Queen Street with a picture of a man who didn't want to be found, or bloodying his knuckles dragging the same man back to his creditors. At this point, he'd even welcome an easy week tailing some wayward husband to seedy motels. Trouble was, there wasn't enough crime and desperation for a man to make an honest living these days. And more than the money, whenever his life slowed down like this, that nameless gnawing unease crept back in. It made Seamus's fingers twitch and pushed him into more bar fights than was strictly healthy. Seamus had just decided that flying a kite off the balcony would take his mind off his troubles when a silhouette darkened the frosted glass of his office door. The knock came sharp and impatient, and Seamus opened the door to find a narrow-faced woman. In her heels, she was taller than Seamus, and she looked to be in her early 40s, with pale blonde hair falling to brush a dark wool overcoat. Attractive in a severe way, with a sharp-edged figure and a face whose lines had been partially obscured by fillers and Botox. Seamus nodded a cheerful hello and saw the woman's disdainful glance at the battered oilskin that hung off his shoulders. "Nice to meet you, too," said Seamus to a dry silence. "I assume you're looking for a private detective?" "I am." "Please, step into my office, Miss... You don't need my name." Seamus grinned slightly at this and moved to let her pass, standing just slightly in the doorframe. The woman carried a Birkin bag at her side. Seamus didn't know enough about fashion to guess how much this particular one might be worth, beyond the fact the answer would be obscene. He did, however, have other areas of expertise. Pickpocketing, for instance, which he'd learned from a seven-fingered woman in Greektown. The very expensive purse the woman was carrying didn't happen to have a zipper and, being difficult to latch closed, was hanging open, a matching gray wallet tucked just inside. He slipped his coat off and slung it over his arm as he held the door for her, then snatched a new client form from his desk. Producing a pen from one of his innumerable pockets, he stepped to the woman's side, then stood in place, feigning concern that she fill out the form correctly. "Just a formality," he said, "if you don't mind. You don't have to put a name, but I will need a contact number." She looked annoyed by the request, but shifted her bag to her left arm beside Seamus. It was always a gamble, but you could count on most people being right-handed. As she took the pen and darted out a cell number, Seamus blocked her line of sight with his bundled coat and light-fingered her wallet. He jostled her slightly as he did so and drew out her driver's license with one hand as he apologized. Ontario licenses were easy. You could feel the little square of lamination at the bottom corner. Seamus stole a quick glance at the card, and everything went back into the purse just as Aria Williams, resident of apartment 4761 in the Waverley complex, finished jotting her answers to the last few questions on the client form. If it was for a case, Seamus had an excellent memory. She sat stiffly in the client's chair, clearly unimpressed by his small office and affectedly bumbling manner. Seamus decided to take the opportunity to enjoy himself. "So, what brings you here, Aria?" She didn't quite jump, but she flinched hard enough that her chair rattled against the floor.